Yeah.
There's a runner on second base or third base with less than 2 outs. We call it a milkshake. Hit the ball up the middle, and I'll buy you a milkshake. Just get the RBI, just get the RBI home, And so that's what's kind of frustrated me. If we had guys that could hit a ball 400 feet, go ahead and hit the ball in the air. But we have to create opportunities.
All right, welcome back to the E-Team Sponsor Podcast. I'm your host, CEO and co-founder Sean Connors, joined today by Andrew Schramek, affectionately known as Coach Schram from Lake Orion High School up in the great state of Michigan. Coach Schram, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You got it. Excited, always excited to talk a little baseball. Being a former baseball guy myself, love getting in. Hey, let's jump right off. What do you think about the Aaron Judge chasing Roger Maris's AL record of 61 home runs?
Well, it's been very impressive to see what he's done throughout the year. He's got 61 home runs, and in second place, I believe, right now has 38.
Amazing.
And I would wonder, he's so big and strong. I'm sure he'd hit home runs in every ballpark. But man, that's like a little league field at Yankee Stadium, is it not?
Yeah, it is. It's a bandbox.
Yeah. Right field, left field lines are just about 300 feet. And if you hit it to right center, it just flies.
Yeah. They've got I think it's aligned with, LaGuardia's tarmac. So the jet stream goes
right through there.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, it is awesome to see that. Well, Coach, hey, let's talk a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Why'd you get into and what's your affinity with baseball? How'd you get into coaching? We'll definitely get into some of your accolades and some of the success that you've had there at Lake Orion. But tell us how and why'd you get into it?
Well, I think I've always wanted to be a coach. I looked up to my coaches when I was growing up. I played baseball and football. I wrestled for a little while. Grew up in Pennsylvania near Philadelphia, where wrestling is a really big sport. And, even when I was young, I felt like some of my friends and the guys that I played with would ask me for help, whether it was hitting or learning different plays and stuff in football, which, came to me a lot easier than math. And
as it does for most of us.
Right. Yes. I can't understand math, but I can work out a couple offensive plays. I coached football for 19 years here as well.
Oh,
but,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think when I went to college, I wanted to be a teacher, and I knew I always wanted to coach baseball. I loved it. And I thought that based on my high school coaches and my college coach, that I had a pretty good background and was taught pretty well, that I could, maybe take some of those lessons that I was taught and give them to some other people.
That's awesome. Now, how long have you been at Lake Orion?
I've been here 25 years as the varsity baseball coach and teaching. Yeah,
awesome.
It's been a lot of fun.
And what, there's the coaches that are listening to this, or, people that have been in the coaching world for a while. That's a challenge that, I think most maybe parents and people don't understand until they actually have a kid, in the program. And they realize, oh yeah, you're probably the first person on the campus. You're teaching classes all day, and then you're going out and you're spending more time on the baseball field. So what subjects are you teaching there on the campus?
I teach government, AP Advanced, and regular government. And right now I have a world history class.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So no offense to the PE teachers out there, but you're not teaching, you're not holding a clipboard and making sure people are running laps and push-ups. You're
right. I'm not teaching the founding principles of the kickball.
Yeah. You're teaching the fundamentals, the founding principles of our country. I love that. That is awesome. Well, that's
a lot of my friends are phys ed teachers, by the way.
And I'm sure they're going to give me and you a hard time for that one, but that's okay. Hey, that's you're the one teaching the AP courses. That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about you mentioned that you learned some valuable lessons through the sport. I'm sure as a coach, I'm sure you're teaching very valuable lessons to your student athletes. Take us through maybe some of your your core principles or values that you have within your baseball program?
Well, the first thing is I want us to treat our opponents, officials, and each other with respect. You know, these last few years where kids really haven't, they missed COVID, the COVID year in Michigan, and we lost a lot in terms of culture and leadership. Not that we didn't have good leaders, but kids just didn't play. They weren't, added in as freshmen or sophomores. They missed it for whatever reason. So it's been a little chippy on our bench and a little bit more about me than everybody else.
Sure.
They all play on a lot. I mean, our school's pretty big. We have really good players. We've always had really good players, and they play on these summer teams where, it's more about showcasing their skills than it is about playing in a team environment and, moving the line to the next hitter. So we try to teach them to play for the guy that's behind you in the batting order. We teach them to play for the brothers. And one thing I love about high school baseball is I really don't get to go out and recruit kids. I don't go out and recruit kids. I just get the people that come to campus, and these kids all grow up together. There's a bond that they have that you take what you get, and you get to teach those kids. So number one is, being part of a team, respecting people. And I believe the way it was demanded for me from my high school coach, you run on the field and you run off the field no matter what.
Love it.
Play as hard as you possibly can. I'm 5'7". And then when I played, I was probably 155 pounds. And the only way anybody was ever going to take a look at me is if they saw on the field how hard I could play.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to implement with all of our players.
I love it. I love it. I'm a baseball traditionalist. I feel the same way. I love seeing, on and off as fast as you can. I love seeing, I saw some of the videos and clips, on your guys' Twitter account and some of the MHAA Coach of the Week stuff. And I loved hearing you talk about that, with your players. So that is, I think for baseball purists out there, I'm sure would appreciate that as well. Let's talk a little bit about some of the strategies. There's, Major League Baseball, they're talking, there's the shift, and now they're talking about they're going to ban the shift. What are your thoughts on such a polarizing subject?
Well, I hate the shift. I've always hated the shift. I understand the strategy of it. I can live with it, but why can't a guy just hit the ball the other way? You see more and more guys do it. And what it happens is there's been the trickle down effect to launch angle and hitting the ball in the air. Sure. So we get, and I'm not telling kids how to spend their money. And I understand nobody's going to go to a hitting instructor to pay him to teach him how to bunt.
Yeah.
But those guys in the major leagues, like Aaron Judge, if they make a mistake, they can hit the ball 420 feet. Our guys, we have 4 or 5 guys on our team that could probably hit home runs, but they fly out quite a bit until they come back to, look, there's a huge gap over there. There's a runner on second base or third base with less than 2 outs. We call it a milkshake. Hit the ball up the middle, and I'll buy you a milkshake. Just get the RBI, just get the RBI home, And so that's what's kind of frustrated me. If we had guys that could hit a ball 400 feet, go ahead and hit the ball in the air. But we have to create opportunities, and opportunities and pressure, can score runs, but balls in the air don't.
I love it. I love it. Well, and it sounds like you guys have had a lot of success there. I know I believe I saw you guys had competed for a Division I or Section 1. I can't remember exactly what that was labeled as. Division I, Division I championship. So it sounds like that strategy definitely has paid off. You've mentioned that you've had some really good players that have come through there. Any of note? Any big league names or anybody like that?
Well, we have not had anybody in the major leagues yet, okay. But we've had several drafted in 2002. Randy Fry was drafted in the 4th round out of high school by the Seattle Mariners. Ryan Gillespie is the all-time home run hitter at Eastern in the Mid-American Conference, played for us. He went on to Double-A and was a number 1 Rule 5 draft pick of the Oakland A's.
Oh, wow.
Neil Medchill, drafted out of Oklahoma State, played for in the Yankees organization. Jim McMahon, a catcher, probably the best defensive catcher I've seen, at least in terms of catch and throw. Played for a while in the Orioles organization. Nate Recknagel was the Big Ten Player of the Year at the University of Michigan. He injuries knocked him out of the game, but he was an All-America, their single season home run hitter. So we've had some, and there's others. Nick Deeg, who was probably should have been the Mr. Baseball at Michigan, like Fry, is the all-time Michigan ERA leader in a single season.
Oh,
which
wow.
is like 0.24, something crazy like that. So we've had
Holy cow.
some truly outstanding players, and there's more I could mention if you have like another 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, that's all. No, that's great. I love it. That's awesome. I mean, that's why you get into it, right? You get a chance to coach these kids. I love what you mentioned earlier too about, you're a public high school. You coach who shows up on campus, and I love that. And when you do see kids like that move on and be that successful, I'm sure that's got to give you a great sense of pride for sure. Talk about influences maybe in your career. I know you'd mentioned where you grew up and you had some sounds like some influential coaches in your life. Is there anybody that you kind of put at the top of that, maybe Mount Rushmore of leaders or coaches and their influence on you?
Well, the first one was the two that I would say were the most influential was my high school coach, Pete Luceni. He coached for 20 years or so at Council Rock High School in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And he had some really, really good teams, but the sprinting on and off the field, the playing as hard as you can, he saw something in me that every time I heard that guy talk, I wanted to run through a wall. I just was, I tell kids, like, when it was football, I just wanted to play for my high school so much. We had such a pride in our school, and getting that varsity baseball jersey was like getting the best Christmas gift that you ever had.
Yeah.
And I was playing with my buddies that I grew up with, which I still talk to some of those. And the other one would be my coach at Alberta University, Yogi Lutz, who, he recruited me. And although, a couple years I played quite a bit, a couple years I didn't. I learned a lot about how to be a teammate, how not to be make it about you or about me. And you go on a mission with those guys because rather than just playing in the spring, it's almost year round. And he was really impactful in my coaching career as well, because he brought me on my 5th year when I was student teaching, and he let me hang out and coach with the team a little bit, and then invited me to coach in the Keystone State Games with them in Pennsylvania. So those were incredible resume builders to help me get my job here.
That's awesome. That's great. I love it. Paying homage to the people that help you get there. You're there. You've had a ton of success. Where do you go for off season? In terms of you getting better as a coach, what are maybe some of those influences? Where do you go for professional development?
Well, the past couple of years I've been doing it online, whether it be American Baseball Coaches Association, World Baseball Coaches Association. Sometimes I go to the Michigan High School Baseball Coaches Association. The coaches that I have two, Eric Jennings and Dennis Recknagel, who have been with me for over 20 years.
Wow.
Most loyal guys. I mean, our kids love them. We try to plan a trip every year in January to go to a conference, and it's kind of like a little vacation, but we're learning a ton of ball. And I try to research and read, or I don't know why I waited so long, but Tim Matheny's book I just listened to, and I was ready to get a bag, go out and play.
That's awesome. That's a good. I take it that's a Tim Matheny. Is that a newer book that just came out?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit older. When he was with the Cardinals, and it's called the Matheny Manifesto, where he kind of puts parents in their place and makes everything about the kids.
Got it. Love it. All right. Well, we're gonna have to add that one. Leaders or readers, and it sounds like you definitely are as well. I'll definitely have to put that on my list. The Matheny Manifesto. Very cool. In terms of some of the key learnings that you've got, maybe the last year or two, is there anything that that you saw, you read, you heard that you've either one implemented and seen it be successful, or anything that you're excited to bring into the baseball program?
Well, yes, a couple years ago, we went to Columbus, Ohio. Boo, by the way, go blue.
Yeah.
I'm the worst kind of Michigan fan. I didn't go there. But I watched a college coach who was working also with the New York Yankees talk about base stealing. And to me, base running is like special teams in football or special teams in hockey. It's, in my estimation, undercoached and undervalued. In the major leagues, they don't have to steal bases because Aaron Judge is going to come up and hit a 3-run home run. In high school, I like guys that can get to second base in their own, whether it be a double or a walk in a stolen base. I don't care. But he really talked about different advantages that we can gain on pitchers through pre-pitch movement and different tells that, we're all taught about, hey, sit on the heels, but there's so much more than that when it comes to
Sure.
trying to time up a pitcher, whether it be at first base or second base. So that's been a big thing. We've had a goal to steal, and I take pride in the schedule that we have. Even on the weekends, we try to play the best teams we possibly can, and we play one of the best leagues in Michigan. So we have a goal that we want to steal 120 bases every year. And
Wow.
the last 2 years, we've been able to reach that.
Whoa. And how many games do you guys play in a season?
Last year we played 36, and the year before we played 38 or 39.
Wow. So that's a lot. Wow.
And we play against extremely good catchers and guys that pay attention to the run game.
Yeah. Wow. That's 3 to 4 bags a game. That's pretty impressive. Wow. So what does a practice look like at Lake Orion? I mean, you mentioned your assistant coaches who've been with you for 20 years. I mean, I imagine if I show up to a practice this spring, if I came on campus, I'm probably going to see a very well thought out, well planned, well-oiled machine getting through practice. That's got to be pretty cool. What does that look like, coaching with guys for 20 years and in practice there?
Well, in Michigan in the spring, it's not always the well-oiled machine. It seems to be, because I don't know whether we're going to be practicing on the football field, our field, or the gym. Last year by the 1st of May, we started in the middle of March. We had 2 full practices on our field, all until that point. But what we like, every day, the first thing we do is, like most teams, we're going to come out and we'll do a working warm up. Then the guys will, depending on the weather, if it's cold, then we do our base running before they throw to warm their bodies up. And, there's just different techniques and situations that we work on with the running game every day. The guys will throw, and then we'll go into either a team offense or team defense situation. We'll do the fundamental parts of it first, and then usually we finish with the batting practice. And depending on the day, we'll throw some conditioning on at the end. It usually takes us about 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes. And, I want to be sharp and fast. I don't want to be like out there taking so much time away from these guys that they don't appreciate tomorrow.
Yeah.
And get back to the field.
I love it. I feel like one of my coaches in college says, if we can't get this done in 90 minutes, we don't belong out here,
Right.
And so I love that approach. That's great. Back to some of the strategic stuff that's going on in the game. In the big league, sure, there's the pitch clock and things like that, which they want to speed up the game. They want to get the younger generation involved in the game. Do you feel like, as a high school coach, do you bear any of that? Do you take on that as maybe as responsibility in terms of teaching the game and tempo and things like that? Or is that kind of one of those things like, nah, it's a major league thing. We're not, it doesn't affect us.
We watching Justin Verlander pitch for the most of his career, when he was in college, his coach told him he's got to throw a pitch within 6 seconds of it hitting his mitt. And we've tried to get our pitchers to implement that, or games take all day long. In our league, for example, we were playing double headers on Monday and then a single game on Wednesday against a similar opponent, the same opponent. And if our pitchers are out there taking 20 seconds between pitches, our defense is on their rear ends,
Sure,
they're not sharp. And we're going to run out of daylight.
Yeah.
So it's on them. So one of the first things that we do when we get into competitive situations is get our guys on the mound and have them throw the baseball. Get your sign and let's go.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's great. Yeah, and I got to imagine up there in Michigan too, just like you said, daylight. You're especially in the spring, the time that you do get on the field, you got to take advantage of it. Oh, that's great. A couple more things for you here. Again, we're glad to have Andrew Schramek, Coach Schram from Lake Orion High School up in Michigan, here with us on the podcast. Coach, the baseball bats, right? I think every couple of years they're coming out with these new bats, and they've got the specifications. Thoughts on just the Maruccis and the DeMarinis of the world, these Louisville Slugger, the bats. I know they're constantly refining it and trying to make it better, safer. Any thoughts on kind of just the evolution of the bats?
Well, I know that when I first started, our bats were drop 5, and
Yeah.
I think we hit home runs near 40 that year. It was completely unfair. Guys that should hit home runs should be able to hit them. Guys that are, under, whatever, they're just not big enough to consistently hit home runs. It was a joke. Balls were flying out. And now they're a little bit better, but I think the hitting technique and what we know about movement and angles and stuff like that has changed. But I just wish that if you could make a metal bat that acts like a wood bat without the breaking part of it, so you're not spending a lot of money,
Sure.
that would make the game better.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, I remember I've had many conversations over the years with coaches just like yourself that I think I'll more probably share that sentiment than most would probably either agree with or even care to admit. But yeah, we've seen a lot of that. The old wood composite bats, right?
Yeah, right.
I remember using those in fall ball. We couldn't use them during sanction games, but
right.
I remember using those in fall ball. So those were I thought a great alternative. And
right.
being an old pitcher too, I was great. Loved seeing that they did try to make some changes to the bats so that I'm not giving up a bases loaded home run to the 9th hole guy,
Yeah, on the outside black below the kneecap, right?
Yeah, I made a great. I did a terrible job letting 3 guys get on, but man, I made some great pitches to the 9-hole guy, and he still took me deep,
Right.
So that's coming from a guy with a 10 career ERA in college. So
you still got to play.
Yeah, I still got to play. I love it, man. I'll never trade it in for anything. Last couple things here for you, Coach. What gets you? I guess what gets you out of the bed? Out of bed in the beginning of your day. What motivates you to get up and be, the best baseball coach for Lake Orion?
Well, I love the fact that I get to coach at Lake Orion. They hired me to do what I want to do, which is teach and coach. So hopefully, I'm giving that loyalty back. I love baseball. I mean, I can't get enough of it. I can't wait for the playoffs to start. The Tigers have been bad, but I still look forward to watching some of their young players. Right. In December, we're going to start with our 4-on-1s, which start at 6 a.m. in the morning, open gyms, which start at 6 o'clock in the morning. And, we might have 100 kids.
Wow.
Close to that. Yeah, we have a lot of kids that really love to play baseball. So it's just kind of sitting there watching them play and setting equipment up for them. But, you get a chance to look at them. But it's just great. I mean, every time we have a game, I have a pit in my stomach, like all day long.
Like you're ready to play.
Just can't wait for the competition to see,
how
good we could play on that particular day.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Coach, as we wrap up, we'll go through some rapid fire questions, just some fun stuff.
Sounds good.
Some fun stuff to throw out there to you. So, all right, you got a choice. You get a choice to go to one game. You going to a Major League Baseball game, or are you going to a game at Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha, Nebraska?
Rosenblatt.
All right, cool.
Been to enough Major League games.
Yeah. Good. Check that one out for sure. I got that. It's a 2023 bucket list item I'm going to share with my dad and my brother. We're gonna go this year. We're gonna make
really?
it happen.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. We're really excited. So I'm with you on that one. At a game, favorite food: hot dog, or peanuts?
Ugh. Nothing is like a hot dog at the ballpark, in my opinion.
Yeah. Especially if you can wash it down with a nice cold beer. That's pretty
Oh,
good.
hell
Right
yeah.
there. I love it. That's great.
Not alcoholic.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Coach, do you from a I think I already know the answer to this, but rather see the 3 home runs in a game, or rather see, a 1-0 90-minute baseball game?
Well, if I was watching on TV, I'd rather see the 90-minute game.
Yeah.
If we were playing, I would rather win by a lot of runs, because then
I like that. That's great. That's great. And then hardest pitch to hit. I don't want to give you an option, but just hardest pitch to hit, you think, from a high school baseball player standpoint, what's the hardest pitch to hit?
slider.
Slider. Got it. Okay. Is that just different than the curveball because of the speed of it, the late break? What is it about the slider that's tough?
Well, I think these days people are seeing much more velocity. I would have said a couple of years ago that a great fastball located was the toughest hit, but now pitchers are being taught how to throw the ball harder. So we've got to teach our hitters how to hit a fastball. They see enough curveballs growing up, so they can understand the spin. But when you have a guy that can throw a really good slider that looks like a fastball out of the hand, that can be challenging. Not a lot of guys throw it either, so that makes it more challenging.
Hard to see the dot, right? The dot and the slider.
Yep. Hard to see that red dot.
The guys that got the no dot slider, those ones are. I would agree. Those are tough. Well, good. Well, Coach, we really appreciate you coming on. Last thing, little shameless plug. You're a client of E-Team sponsor. Would love to hear. I know you said you and the coaching staff take some trips to go work on professional development, but maybe just real quick, you could share the funds that you've raised through E-Team sponsor. How's that helped the Dragon baseball program?
It's been amazing. Last year we bought new dugout furniture, went from that cold metal bench that is the most uncomfortable thing to getting some brand new furniture, helmet rack, equipment racks. We got some screens for the front of the dugout to make our field look a little bit nicer. We bought some mound and play clay with some of the money. It's nice to not have to. First of all, it's super easy, and it's nice when you get it not to have to worry about the next fundraiser for a while. So paying coaches, you can't just ask a guy to come out for free or $100. You try to make it worth their while. And, so there's been so many things. Recently, I just bought some 9-hole pitchers, accuracy stations, and
nice.
So, yeah, because pitchers can throw hard, but they can't throw strikes.
I'm laughing, and I'm also kind of, I'm having a flashback, because I can remember being at one point in my life, I used to be able to throw pretty hard. And then there was a time after that, it's like, you don't throw very hard anymore. You better learn how to locate. So that's pretty cool. Well, it sounds like it's definitely made an impact on the program, and it's great to hear that the student athletes are having a better experience because of it. So, well, Coach, we really appreciate you hopping on. It's been great getting to know you and share a little bit more about your story and your background and all the great things that are going on up at Lake Orion High School baseball. And again, we'll get this out to the rest of the crowd. We'll share it with everybody. We'll put it on our YouTube channel. We'll get it on our social channels, and we really appreciate you coming on today.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thank you very much for the work that you've done helping us raise that money.
You got it.